Everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm not at home, so the sound will be very crazy since this is sound coming directly from the computer. Those of you who were on the live stream saw me scratch the microphone. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about a game that I've played at the Grand Open. It's basically the third round, and I'm playing against Johannes Czernach. So this is a very young FIDE master. I think he's like 22, 3, 4 years old. Very talented, very strong. He's known worldwide for a lot of good things. So worldwide, specifically Germany, talking about worldwide. And I'm having the white pieces, and I'm a little bit, in anger because I don't know what to play against him until I realized that I could just go for an open repertoire that I've prepared for one of my students. I have a couple of students, throughout the time that basically went for what I've played today. I basically played the COLLE system. Now, the COLLE system is a very aggressive opening. It doesn't seem like that, but this is an opening that is definitely designed to, first of all, not really play main lines of everything. And as Vladislav Tkachev, a very known grandmaster from Kazakhstan, once said, what he tried to do when he was playing the opening was to avoid main lines in the side lines. So for example, if you play the COLLE, you won't really try to play the classical COLLE with bishop d3, b3, bishop b2. He would try to go for some very thin, unknown COLLE system where he would basically, just theoretically, I don't know if he would literally play that, something like knight a3 and c4, something very out of ordinary. But it was not the plan for today's game because my opponent went for e6. So the best way to play would be to go bishop f5 as black, followed by e6, but it creates some drawbacks around the b7 square. I don't want to get too deep into the lines, but basically he went e6. And this position just enables or solves another problem. So I went bishop d3, he went c5. He might be playing c4 at some point, so I basically played b3. He went knight c6, he might eventually go knight b4, so I decided to go pawn a3. He went bishop d6, I went bishop b2, and now queen c7, which felt odd, but the problem is that for black, if black castles, I can just castle, and black will have to play queen c7 here anyway. So let's say black, for example, goes b6. Now I will get the main plans of the COLLE system, which would be to go knight e5, and after bishop b7, I will be in time to play pawn to f4. Now, if you are basically part of the course on how to play the COLLE system, you would know that there is a trap where you go queen c7. I go, for example, knight d2, and now if you go knight d7, this position is already lost because of knight c6, bishop takes, bishop c5, you have to capture back either way, and now the two diagonals are basically open, and I can play bishop takes h7. So you have to capture back, otherwise I just play queen h5. Now I go queen h5, you have to go king g8, right? And now I want to play rook f3 followed by rook g3 mate. It's just that it's a little bit slow, so I play bishop g7 first. I'm threatening mate on h8, and once you capture back, I don't play rook f3 because of rook g8, and now if I give a check, the king runs away. No. In this position, I play queen g5, because now the king has to go on the h-file, and after rook to f3, you can't avoid rook h3 checkmate. If you go rook g3 trying to attack the queen, I just go rook h3, which is mate. It's just one side between many others. The course is still very fresh, so I don't know if a lot of my students know this line. But I've been teaching the COLLE system to a couple of students of mine, and they have good results, or they're inspired to have good results with that. Anyway, the problem with queen c7 is that black wants to, in case I castle, black wants to push e5, and the problem is if I start to trade everything off in the center, like a little bit of in the main line of the London system, this position is just much better for black because black has this spatial control in the center. I'm still very badly developed, and the dark squares are extremely weak. Eventually this could be played, or something close enough could be played at some point. So this position is definitely not interesting for white. So I decided to capture on c5 because now he has to capture back. I play c4, and now in case he captures on c4, I can just capture back, and pushing e5 would just allow my two bishops, okay, drunken bishop, but that would basically allow my two bishops to be powerful both on the long diagonal and on the smaller diagonal, the a2, f7 diagonal. So he went for castles, I went for castles, rook d8, and now I made a mistake. And this is the difference when you simply don't really practice openings, and this was basically my mistake. Again, I played the Grand Open. I had only, I basically went there to basically, like I said in the previous upload, I was there with my students, so I was more thinking about them than thinking about myself. So I played a little bit, in Polish we would say, tak na odpierdol, so just leave me alone. I played the move and leave me alone. I played queen c2, which is alright. It's just that the most accurate one would be knight d2, trying to go rook c1, and the queen is sadly on the wrong file. The file could be open eventually b4, b5, and the rook can definitely be a real problem for black. So I played queen c2, which is alright. My opponent went queen e7, and here I made a calculation mistake. And when I say that I made a calculation mistake, I think it's a very unfortunate mistake. I thought, first of all, that I can play knight g5, and the reason why this move is already losing is because after g6, so my threat is to capture on f6 and play queen h7 mate. The thing is, if my opponent goes g6, I have queen c3, which threatens the knight, and you can't play king g7. You can't move the knight away because there is simply mate. So you have to go king g7. But now I basically capture on f6. You capture back. I capture, and knight e4, which basically wins the bishop on c5. Then I realized that wait, but there's basically h6, and this is why I say that I made a calculation mistake, because in the game I went knight b2, and this is when I realized that I could have played knight g5. Then I went back in my mind and I realized, okay, but if I play knight g5, there's h6. And now the problem that I have is that if I capture on f6, he captures back, and this is not mate. And since it's not mate, even though, okay, first of all, queen h8, he goes king e7, and I didn't win anything. And if I play knight e4, he captures the free rook. So when I said that I was not focused, but it's okay. I went knight bd2, and this is when I realized, okay, there is h6, so it doesn't work. But now he went bishop b6, and the problem is, if I try knight g5 again, now there would even be some g6, but g6 would still be very weakening because of queen there. But anyway, yeah, this would actually still be lost. This, I will have knight e4, which is a problem. And you can't play e5 because of knight f7, and this connection hits out of nowhere. Maybe I should be capturing here first, though. Yeah, otherwise I lose on e4, with the tempo. And maybe this is fine. I didn't really calculate that yet, but I know that this is definitely fine. Anyway, here there is still h6, and this is still not winning, because even though I'm giving this one check, this knight is still hanging. This is a hard game. I don't know what the engine says, though. Let me just check very quickly. Just knight g4, and yeah, that's right. I also saw that. I don't know how I forgot that. Now queen h8 doesn't win, but I'm just destroying the pawn structure, and this should be promising me a good game, like rook d1, I guess. I saw something similar to that. I can't really recall what I saw now, but something close to that. Anyway, knight bd2 was played. He went bishop b6, just allowing himself to not get knight e4 forward. So I simply played rook d1, and I improved my position. Bishop d7, if you are part of the course on how to reach 3000 elo, you notice this concept of playing bishop c8 to d7 to e8, and this is exactly what he went for. I went rook c1, rook c8, and now the engine says that I'm better. Like it's a solid +1, I think, in this position. Yeah, close enough, almost solid +1. And the way I get better here is basically by, first of all, improving my queen, so I felt that properly. I played queen b1. I also wanted to go queen b1, queen a1, just to apply pressure on this drunken diagonal. Yeah, this crazy diagonal. He went h6, and the problem that black has right now is that there are a lot of holes in the center. So I don't know really how to approach this position the first time I see it. I have the feeling that I should be capturing an f6 in order to play this queen e7 and knight e6, after which I guess rook b8 is playable just to defend the pawn. Rook c7 would be a little bit odd, to be fair, so I guess it's just slightly better. And maybe e4, trying to play e5 and get myself an outpost on d6. So like I said, I wasn't really sure about how to proceed in this position. I ended up pushing b4, which is a correct approach. I'm just creating myself some squares, maybe knight b3 to d4. I'm still having a very good control over the center, much better control than black. And if black ever tries to play e5, then there could be some problems, tactical problems, like the capture on b5 and eventually capture on e5. So he went bishop e8, which is normal. I played bishop e2, just trying to give myself the move knight c4. This is just a normal game, a6, knight c4, so you can see that there is just a lot of maneuvering. But I maintain that I'm slightly better here because I do control the center. I can play knight e5 at some point. So maybe it's just equal. I don't think that what I have is enough to win. This is what I'm thinking in my game. I don't think that I have enough to win, but this is definitely alright. Like, I cannot be worse here. He went bishop a7. And now I caught a cold. So I just realized that if I ever try to play knight e5 in this position, for example, knight e5 that way, the problem that I have is that I don't know what to do, because he has knight d5. This is closing the d file, and I'm really not sure how to proceed. Knight c6 doesn't help me a lot. He just at all. He just captures back. On the other hand, I could see a world where he ends up trading everything and goes bishop c6. Or even worse, I see a world where he's also just capturing on e5 and plays bishop a4, which gains the control over the d file since the bishop is completely controlling the d1 square. So I'm just realizing that I very hardly have an advantage here. And this is a problem. I'm not having any advantages here as white, because he always has the captures on e5 followed by bishop a4 just to gain back the control over the d file. So I'm a little bit unhappy, let's put it that way, because at the same time I realized that I really want to play knight e5, but I really don't want the bishop to go on a4 and win some time on my rook. So I did something very odd. By the way, the engine after bishop a7 tells me that what I did is correct. So I had two options in mind. I thought that I could capture on d8, and I thought that I can play queen a1. So queen a1 makes sense since it's more or less threatening to destroy the pawn structure. But my goal isn't to really capture on f6. My goal would be to my goal is just to implement something on the dark squares. Maybe knight e5, and in case of a capture, now capture back with the bishop instead of capturing back with the knight, and then I would give myself the d6 square eventually one day. So I'm thinking about all those things, and I'm really having a hard time, because I realize that queen a1 might be good to fight for an advantage. But then I see that I have rook d8, and rook d8 now hits hard, because once he captures back, I can basically, after the capture on d8, play queen a1 again, and I don't know which one is better. So I ended up making a mistake here, and now when I say it's a mistake, it's more a mistake in the decision making rather than really a mistake based on my understanding of the position. Sorry, the sound is going to be horrible. Bam. I realized that if I ever try to play it that way, I don't know how to continue. And the reason why when you play your chess games, you don't know how to continue is the same reason why I don't know how to continue here. This is a position that I do not have very often. I would feel better in this position if I had a bishop on g2, since I'm a fianchetto player type of position. And fianchetto structures give me my title, basically. But I really don't know how to handle this position. And it's and visually I see that it looks sweet. Like I can play knight e5. Now after the captures there is no more bishop a4. And I know that I'm better. The problem is I don't know how to continue here as black. So I'm thinking, okay, he just goes bishop b8 and he's guarding the e5 square. And I can't cope with this position. And I'm thinking about just waiting, like maybe knight d4, maybe trying to play bishop f3. But if knight d4, the first problem that I have is that he can at the very least play something like knight d5 or knight e4, and at some point, I don't know if that works, but I saw something like this, like he goes knight e4, bishop f3, and now there is a tactic. The tactic is beautiful. He can just capture on h2, followed by queen h4, and we have a draw. And I saw something like that very quickly, but honestly, I could see a world where I'm just getting checkmated. Maybe not now, but maybe in 10 moves. At the very least, it's a draw, and I'm not happy with the draw either. So this is the kind of problem that I have. I don't know how to proceed here. So I ended up playing rook d1. So I traded on d8 and I played rook d1, and I just felt like like I was dumb, because suddenly we get a position where I'm still playing knight e5. I'm still having active pieces. But he goes bishop a4, we trade everything off, and sure, I'm slightly better, I have a nice knight, but I really can't break through. I play bishop f3, just trying to improve my position, bishop d6. I made a mistake though, I offered him a draw when I captured on d8. I shouldn't have. There was a time in my life where I was just offering a lot of draws just to throw my opponents, apart, but this is just not good. Here he went bishop d6, and I cannot win the pawn because there is this move, and I'm getting double attacked. So I went knight c4, he went bishop c7, just cutting the ears of my knight, and now I really do think that this move basically threw him off. I was ready to capture on b7, it's just that I couldn't evaluate bishop h2. It turns out the engine says bishop b5 and I almost resigned because the knight has nowhere to go. I didn't see that. I didn't see bishop b5. Maybe he saw that. But I couldn't evaluate bishop h2. This is what I saw. Captures queen c7. I play something like, okay, if I play knight e5, he captures a bishop, so I want to give him the option of just making a mistake and capturing on c4. Because capturing there would just give me a very good position where I'm up a pawn, same color bishop. I'm definitely much better here. Now the pawn structure is destroyed, I'm up, Okay, am I up a pawn? No, I'm not up a pawn. Okay, but it feels like I'm up a pawn at least. So he has to capture on b7, and then I simply wasn't sure. So I thought, okay, let's just play g3. He went bishop b5. I went queen c2, knight d5, and what I thought is that, okay, let's just open up the knight. Maybe let's just try to bring the knight to c5. Bishop c6, bishop g2, just to make sure that the bishop is not hanging. I captured on a5 just to create some imbalances on the queen side, but it's just basically nothing. I'm just shuffling around, and at some point here when he played queen f8, I knew that there is no reason to force. My problem is that I had a lot of experiences where I'm forcing too much and I'm just messing it up, and I thought, okay, that would be a better example for my students if I show moments where I forced to win and I lost, and moments where it was just a draw and I just accepted that the result could be a draw. I basically have a lot of moments where I'm not pushing at all, and some moments where I'm pushing a lot. I'm sorry, I do not have a lot of moments where I'm not pushing at all. So in this case, I decided to just play knight a5, and the problem is if he goes bishop somewhere, then I just capture on b7. So he traded, and now we're one move away of getting the opposite color bishop. Here trading would eventually give me a small edge. And every time every time I take a look at this position, I feel like I could have an edge, but at the same time, I see that he can even play something like f6, e5, closing this diagonal, and my bishop doesn't have nothing to do. My bishop is a little bit too bad. So I thought, okay, let's just play queen b4. Now if he wants to trade, then so be it. I trade back, and even though my bishop is still kind of off, the pawn is hanging, and I'm not sure he wants to play it that way. And if he goes knight d5, then I simply traded the queens off, captured on d5, offered a draw. He accepted, or I think he took and he accepted. Either way, it was done at the same time, so we basically get this equal endgame. The only trap I just have to make an effort not to fall into is basically bringing my king forward. And I don't want to, I just shouldn't get trapped or anything. And the game could basically look that way, but opposite color bishop is, of course, a draw. All right. Let's just take a look. Last time we completely forgot to check the evaluation of the engine. So let's just take a look at the review and see what the engine thinks about this whole game. How do I do it? Yeah, I make it happen that way. And you will see that I got even a very decent advantage. It's just that I was not used of having this type of advantage, and I basically had a hard time. I basically had a hard time playing this position, to be honest. Yeah. So that's the way it goes. Perfect game. I had really less than anything, less than nothing. I played a perfect game. It was a very clean game against a good player. I won a couple of German rating points. DVZ rating. Decent performance, I guess. So more or less my ratings on chess.com, so I'm pretty happy. Yeah, I had a very good game. What I would be recommending you now is the following. Since this game happened, I of course I also started to work with some new students of mine, and I just realized that what would be helping a lot of you if you're rated to 1800 would be some concepts in order to reach 3000 ELO. The same way, if you are maybe 1900 FIDE and you need a good opening repertoire, you need to train them. And this is also why I'm using this video right now to just invite you to go check how to get better at chess.com. The link is in the description. There will be a lot of material regarding openings, a lot of links to a lot of Lichess studies. There's also the online chess club. There are basically a lot of things going on right there. So go check the links in the description. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the future uploads. In the next round, I'm playing against a FIDE master from France who is 16 years old. So subscribe to the channel to not miss the future uploads. See you in the future. Take care.